And I'm sorry, I've been looking at Sal the whole time. You're a part of just as much of a part of the conversation.
No,
This is his podcast. I just
know, his
hijacked this
podcast.
shit.
Hey, Anthony, where'd you get this podcasting stuff from?
It fell off the back of a truck.
How you doing? It's Anthony Sciarrotta and
you doing?
Sal the Voice Valentinetti, and this is the Breaking Bread podcast. Today, we're joined by fellow singer, educator, music extraordinaire, and probably one of the most handsome kids in all of Brooklyn,
Hey,
Charlie Romo.
thank you guys. Happy to be here.
My mother was always interested in teaching me about the world.
Right.
Whether it was through, current events.
Mm-hmm.
Like she'd sit my 7-year-old self in front of the news, which,
Which is traumatizing.
Yeah.
I went through it. It's
yeah,
traumatizing.
right. But at the same time, I learned so much.
Right.
And I became so interested in the world.
No,
So
100%.
when social studies came around, paired with a great teacher like yourself,
Thank you.
I took such an interest in it. And it helped bring my average up throughout high school.
No, listen, a good
What, the
teacher
news?
can make a big difference in a kid's life. And I'm going into my 4th year teaching.
Where?
New Dorp High School in Staten Island.
Nice.
Yeah. So 20 years ago, when people said New Dorp, you'd be like, you don't want to go anywhere near there. And I actually had an offer to work at the high school I went to, which is Tottenville High School. Do you know anything about Staten Island? Did these neighborhoods?
Oh,
that I'm
sure.
talking about?
I am a Staten Italy
I know
expert.
All right, so
Tottenville.
there you go. So I lived up until a month ago in Tottenville, which is like the southernmost tip of Staten Island, right before the outer bridge, and it's a 90% Italian community over there. But Staten Island, like the rest of the borough, is also very diverse. And
Tottenville is Staten Italy.
Tottenville
is the Jersey side.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Basically in South Jersey.
So
The
New
island.
Dorp, very, very different from Tottenville.
Very different from
Worlds
Tottenville.
away.
Very, very diverse. And I work in a Title I school, which is like a significant amount of like lower income families and kids who go there. But man, I love it, and I love those kids. And going into my 4th year now, it's I've seen a lot over the last couple of years, and I really see firsthand. I mean, I knew it as a student, but I see firsthand the impact that teachers have on kids. I still have them contacting me after they graduate. They're very interested in my other life. I'm like Hannah Montana at work, the other side of me. I I wear glasses when I work. Nerdy social studies teacher,
Yeah.
get up, and then when they find out, whether it's from other teachers or because they stalk me on social media or whatever, that I have this whole other side of me, they're very, very interested. But it's awesome, and it really helps me connect with them too. And one thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that I get to show them that there's more to teachers than just what they see in the class.
I used to be
100%.
I used to be freaked out when I'd see my teacher at
Yeah,
the
yes.
grocery store.
I
What are you doing?
yeah,
I
I get-
agree.
I got-
I-
What
I
are
get
you
it.
doing
Right?
here?
Yeah, they think we live in the classroom.
You
we
rule
don't
my
leave.
you rule my life 6 hours a day.
Right.
You don't belong here.
100%. They think we live there and we don't go home.
This
we
is
don't have
where
a
I get
life.
my this is where I get my lucky charms. This is my source of happiness. You need to disappear.
one
100%.
thing I'll say about teachers is teachers literally have shaped my life in a very positive way. I come from a family of all teachers.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have certain teachers in my life.
100%. And
So,
I relate
underpaid
to
and
that.
underappreciated.
Underpaid and underappreciated.
Thank you guys
100%.
for that. I appreciate that.
Very true.
And it's true for me too. I mean, when I was a student growing up, I never thought that I would be a teacher, to be honest with you. I didn't love school, although I was okay at it. But when I got to college and, thinking about what I wanted to major, and I dual majored in music. I studied music. A lot of people don't know that I actually
You're a
have
music
degree.
major.
Yeah, I was a music major. I could read music and all that. I don't consider myself to be a musician. I can get behind the piano and play a few couple
You're
of
a music major.
I was a music major. I have my
You can
degree in music.
read
I'm a good musician
music.
for a singer. I can read
You're a
music.
musician.
I can sing in a choir.
You can read music and
Yes.
then make music that
Yes.
you're reading. You're a
Yes,
musician.
Yes, I appreciate that. I appreciate some instrumentalists may disagree, and I don't like to take anything away.
Fuck them. Where'd you go to school that you majored in music?
So I went to Wagner College on Staten Island.
Okay.
And I dual
Staten
majored.
Island to the core.
No, I went to Wagner College, which is really well known for being like a theater school, like musical theater majors.
Yes.
And to be completely honest with you, growing up, and we'll talk more about like my family history and how I got into performing and all that. But when I was in high school, when I was a senior, I thought Wagner College would be a great option for me, not only because it's a really great school with a beautiful campus.
Right.
You really don't feel like you're on Staten Island. You feel like you're at like some Ivy League school in a different state or whatever. Beautiful campus, but it had a great theater program. I thought I wanted to be a musical theater major, and I am so glad that didn't happen.
Was that something that you explored in high school and middle
It
school?
is.
So you were always into musical theater.
I was always into music.
Okay.
And when I got to, and I loved Broadway. My parents would take me to Broadway since I'm a little kid. So I always loved Broadway, but I really got into like musicals and musical theater and Broadway
Are
even
you
more
the
in high
first
school.
of your family to be into music?
You know, I mean, my family loves music.
Loves music.
Loves music.
I mean,
but as far as performing goes,
Yeah.
everybody thinks that, one of my parents sings or I'm probably the only person in my family who is really in the performing
Really?
arts, like I am. But
Same.
my mother tells me that my great-grandfather, who I was lucky enough to grow up in the same house with, 4 generations in one house in Brooklyn, she tells me that he was a great singer. And he was a barber, but he used to sing while he was cutting hair. And he would go play bocce at the park and spend whatever money he made for the day. My great-grandmother would kick him out. But they said he used to sing
these
as
are
a
the
guy.
most
Italian thing I've
These
ever
are only
heard.
things they tell you once you start singing. Like,
Exactly.
Oh yeah, this makes sense.
Yes. Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't-
Great-grandpa John used to serenade all the guys in the bar.
My mother and her siblings are all tone deaf, or so I thought. My uncle Johnny sings like a songbird. Had
Get
no
out of here.
idea. My mother's brother,
Oh, that's
right?
funny.
I had no idea. The only line I could draw to music,
Mm-hmm.
to any other sort of talent that way in my family, is my cousin Bianca is a competitive dancer.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
That's awesome, though. But yeah, man. I mean, I have to credit even though my family, I wouldn't say they're tone deaf. They have pretty good ears, a lot of them. They have pretty good pitch. And even my wife, I like to, she can't sing, but she's got a really good ear. She's
Mine
always
too.
right on key.
She has a
Always right on-
deviated septum. She wants to get.
So does Alyssa. yeah.
I said no. If you ever get that fixed, I'm out of a job
Yeah, 100%.
because you're decent enough, but you got that hold in your back.
That's awesome.
Keep it there.
100%.
That's so funny.
So,
What's
yeah,
your
man.
favorite? What's your favorite musical? So you said you love
My
musicals.
favorite musical?
I'm just curious.
I've always loved Les Mis. You ever
Okay.
see it? I mean, you said you're a history guy, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's like French Revolution kind of thing. Great music. I'm really into the musicals that have more of like an operatic or like classical vibe. Like I love Phantom of the
Phantom,
Opera,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Andrew Lloyd Webber. I love that stuff. But then there's the musicals like Jersey Boys and stuff like that.
That has all the music that we like.
Jukebox,
Right.
Jukebox musical, fun stuff. What has the
Yes.
music we like? Any of the vintage shows.
Did you
One
see-
that's
did you
coming
go
to
see
mind.
Beautiful.
I was just gonna say the one that came to mind, the Cow King musical, beautiful, amazing show, great songs.
I was thinking of Grease. I don't know. You look like a guy.
Grease is
straight out of
good. I like Grease.
I love Grease.
but that's more a little too
I know
like
it's very mainstream.
mainstream.
Very
you know what I
mainstream.
mean?
My wife has ruined Grease for me. Can I be
Why?
honest?
Why is that?
So my wife and her family love Grease, and there's nothing wrong with loving Grease.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
watch
great.
what you say.
Timeless.
I was Danny
Grease-
Can't not
Zuko
love
7
Grease.
times for Halloween
Grease
when I was a kid.
is one of the greatest musicals ever written. Okay, between
Right, I feel better now.
Olivia Newton-John.
Are we calling the movie a musical though?
It's a musical. It sure
Yes.
is.
Yeah, I guess.
It sure is a musical.
Yeah, I guess we could call it. A
The movie is a You can't have. I'm sorry,
it's too much dialogue. to be
Sandra
straight
D. That whole. Come on, the whole song is performative
Yes, that's true.
to the point where my wife, every time that song comes on, will do the moves and the gestures and and
Which song?
Sandra.
Look at me, I'm Sandra D.
Look at me, I'm
Yeah.
And then she goes, as for you, Troy Donahue. And then she goes, I know what you want to do.
That's awesome.
And
Well,
it's
you know
just way too much. It's too much.
I like Newsies.
I'm so much of a
love
Grease.
Grease.
Newsies is great.
Grease is great.
I
It's
literally
timeless.
bought the Grease sing-along DVD. That's how much of a fan I am of Grease.
Oh, the one that hops along
Yes,
the bottom?
yes.
Yeah.
You guys are reminding me, talking about Grease. They did Grease live like a couple of years back, and I was rehearsing for a show in the city, and the guy who played Danny Zuko, great Broadway actor who was in the Les Mis movie, by the way.
You meant John Travolta for like a minute. I was like, what?
Aaron Tveit is his name. Incredible Broadway actor. He's like a lyric baritone. He's got like those low notes, but like a high tenor extension. I just so happened to be rehearsing next to him in a random rehearsal studio in the city. And we both kind of walked out at the same time and had the nicest conversation with him. And I was like, I saw this guy in the Les Mis movie with Hugh Jackman, and he was just the nicest guy in the world. And he did a great job as Danny Zuko on Grease Live.
Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Showman. Another.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
making a musical
Great-
Yeah.
on Broadway.
Very
Yeah.
talented man.
I can't wait to see that.
That's
Great
exciting
movie.
stuff. Lin-Manuel Miranda was actually just in my neighborhood in Tottenville at a recording studio.
Oh, there's something from Disney they're bringing to Broadway.
Do you want to sing in a musical, Charlie?
Well, that
Well,
was why I wanted
Yeah,
to
we
get.
started with that question and went into a bunch of different
Sorry.
tangents.
What takes you from being a fan of music
Right.
to saying I want to perform music, and not just I want to perform music. I want to major in it in school.
Right.
I want to possibly chase this as a career.
Right. Well,
What's the transition?
it's
Was-
been
was-
a part of me my entire life. Since
Right.
I'm a little kid, like singing, dancing around the house to like The Wizard of Oz and all of those kind of movies and TV shows that were on. And specifically, what I didn't mention before, we kind of started to talk about how I got into the whole era of music that we sing, but I got to credit my grandfather more than anybody for dragging me to doo-wop shows as a small kid. He calls them oldie shows, and I'd listen to, the 50s and 60s doo-wop hits. And really, doo-wop is the music that exposed me to the music of the 50s and 60s, which led me getting into like the Rat Pack and all the crooner stuff that we love and perform. But what led to me wanting to do it as a career, I don't know. It was always inside of me, and it was something I wanted to do. If you asked me as a kid what I wanted to do, I'd say I want to be a singer. I want to be a
Were you
performer.
in
I wanna be an
musicals throughout
entertainer.
high school?
I was in musicals in elementary school. I was in
Oh, wow.
everything. I was like a second grader in the 5th grade musical. And
Oh, you were
talk-
destined for this. Charlie.
So this is what I've been doing my whole life. And we talked about music teachers. I had one music teacher, I have to shout him out. God rest him. He died pretty young. His name was Mr. Fucalaro, and he used to put me in all of like the upperclassmen musicals, and he was the first music teacher to really believe in me,
Yeah.
and see something in me at a young age. And then that kind of transitioned into high school with my high school choir teacher, Mrs. Nolemi, but however, from elementary school to high school, there was a little bit of a gap where I didn't sing for like quite a few years. I joined the chorus in middle school, and I was the only guy in the entire choir, and it was like a class of 50, and it was, little did I know that would have been the greatest thing. But you don't, in
child.
6th grade, you don't think that way.
You were like,
know?
there's
It
none of
wasn't
my-
cool,
none of my friends are in this
My
class.
friends are gonna make fun of me. They're gonna bully me,
Yeah.
So I wanted to play sports and be like one of the boys, and it wasn't the cool thing to do. So I regret it every single day. But I took quite a few years of like not performing because like it wasn't cool, and I had my
understand
earring
that.
in, my Jordans, playing sports, and I was your typical like Staten Island, South Shore kid for
listen,
a couple of years.
You were full on Scungil.
Yes,
Listen.
full on.
I
It's
could
not my
relate.
vibe now, It's really not.
Bro,
We all went through. We all went through.
I
Yeah.
could relate 110%. I had the earrings. I went through that. Now here I am.
Going back to my experience in school, it's a shame because
boys
that could have
told you.
discouraged. Yeah, I got
Yeah, it's
clowned,
true.
Oh, what, you wanna
and it could
fucking
have
sing?
discouraged me
All the
forever.
time.
And
It's
I'll
true.
tell you what got me back into it. That other music teacher in high school, because I didn't sing. 6th grade, I pretty much stopped. I wanted to be cool, and so I stopped, and it wasn't cool to stop, obviously, but I stopped. Did your typical boy stuff, played sports. I thought I actually wanted to be in middle and early high school. I thought I wanted to be a sports broadcaster because I loved sports, particularly baseball.
And you love performing.
Diehard Mets fan. I just passed Citi Field, and I almost went to Citi Field instead of coming here tonight.
Diehard Mets fan.
Diehard Mets fan.
Diehard
to a flaw.
Mets fan.
It's
Is your
a lot
wife
of
also a
character
Mets
development. We have converted her to Mets fandom, not for her betterment. Obviously.
She's a wait.
What with the Mets?
She's a
wait,
convert.
hold on.
She
no,
really
no.
loves me. What can I
She's a
say?
convert. Stop it, Greg. She's a converted Mets fan.
Listen,
From
my
what?
You
wife
had
really loves me.
wait. Everyone, just please. She's a converted Mets fan.
That's correct.
So converted that you had Mr. and Mrs. Met
Yes.
at your wedding.
Oh, you saw the pictures. Yes, I did. Mr. and Mrs. Met.
What was she a fan of?
Well, I saw the pictures because
Wait, how did
I
you
wanted
swing
to.
that, by the way?
Well, they booked themselves out. They got a good gig going.
Really?
Mrs. Met. Absolutely.
That's a
I mean, they
thing?
hooked me up because I'm a frequent anthem singer of the Mets. So shout out to the Mets. I sing the anthem for them a couple times a year. It's one of
I saw that, by the
one of
way.
best
I
things
saw that on
I do.
Instagram.
Yeah, it was awesome. And
Let me ask you something. When you sing the anthem,
sure.
they give you a voucher for the food on the 200 level?
Believe it or not, some teams do. I don't want to talk bad about my team. That's the Mets. They don't give you a food voucher, but they give you a lot of other perks. They let you on the field. You meet the players. You get tickets for you and your family.
That's cool for a Met
they
fan.
treat you
You
really
have to pay
well.
for your own crackers.
So
I was
it's
like,
a-
fuck
it's
that.
It's
I don't wanna
it's
pay
an
for my own
invaluable-
Hal's reaction was
it's an
that means
I
invaluable
thought-
experience.
Charlie, the only reason I ask is I thought that when I did the anthem for the Mets, like someone there didn't like me or found
But
out
you
I
sang
was a
for them?
Yankees fan.
Oh, get out of here.
I sang for them.
Oh,
They
okay.
gave me a voucher for like some hot dog stand on the
Get out.
200 level.
So I didn't get.
And I had just done the anthem at Yankee Stadium, and they gave
Okay.
me 4 Legends box tickets.
Yes, that's what I did. The Yankees too last season, and I had the same thing. But they didn't give you. They gave you tickets. I'd hope for you and your family at least.
They gave me tickets.
Okay.
All right,
yes.
so
Again, though.
Right. A little different.
What was she-
Listen,
Up there.
Don't talk bad about my team. Right?
No. It's, listen, my Godfather.
I will.
My Godfather is a season ticket holder.
All
I will go to Mets games.
You see,
I
I, get
have-
along with anybody who's a Mets fan. It's hard not to. It's hard for anybody not to.
Listen,
There's a
we're in
special-
New York.
It takes
We're
a
in New
special
York.
kind of person.
We're in New
to
York.
deal with that much heartache over a lifetime.
Well, what fan?
We're in
I'm a
New
Mets
York.
fan.
Or you converted her to?
She was a Yankees fan. However, I must preface.
Oh, you
She
converted?
was a Yankees fan. Converted.
She's probably a
She really loves
casual
me.
Yankee fan.
I have
She
to
just
say,
like the Yankees hats.
she's a much
a Yankee
bigger
fan than-
football fan than she is
I'm
baseball
sure she'd
fan.
never
Wait,
actually
Giants
been
or
to a
Jets?
Yankee game.
So here's the thing: we're the weirdest couple ever because
Was she a
before
Vikings
we were
fan?
together, she was a Yankees Jets fan. She's still a diehard Jets fan. I'm not changing that. And I'm a Mets Giants fan.
Giants. I'm Mets Giants.
Oh, all right. So there you go.
Yeah.
So there are others out there like
And
me.
Yankees, Bills.
I feel like it's easy for a
All right,
diehard.
Bills Mafia.
I feel like it's easy for a diehard Jets fan to then convert to being a Mets fan as well.
Yeah.
Well, at least
but
she's
the
got
thing
the
is
whole
it's
Mets
there.
Jets
No, but
thing
Charlie,
going
that's
on
the
now.
thing.
Makes
Like,
sense.
at the end of the day, I'm a New York fan, so I can still myself enjoy a Mets game.
Greg, you hate the Giants.
I felt it was just as the Mets. That's sentimental to me. The first time I got the call to sing for the Mets, I was like, elated. And then I had the opportunity to actually sing at the first playoff game at Citi Field in 6 or 7 years. Back in 2022, in October, they made it to the playoffs. They played the Padres, game 1 of the wild card series. It felt like the World Series. There wasn't an empty seat in the house. But when I sang for Yankee Stadium, that was special. It really was. I mean, one of the most historic
Because the Yankees.
It's hallowed ground.
ever. It's hollow ground.
How did you
hallowed
go
ground.
about getting that? Like, did they reach out to you? Did you
That's a good
inquire?
question.
Like,
Like, were you
No,
just
it's a
sitting
great
home one
question.
day and you're like, oh shit?
Everybody asks me all the time because, in addition to singing for the Mets and Yankees, I've done 7 or 8 other ballparks around the country. And one thing that I want to do is just kind of like a bucket list thing is because I love baseball and I love baseball history so
Wrigley
much.
Field.
I want to sing the anthem at every Major League Baseball stadium.
What's the nicest stadium?
You would wait. You're gonna sing the anthem
At every stadium.
for the Philadelphia Phillies.
I've done it 4 times already, so I've done it
You
4
want to do it?
times.
No, hold on.
already.
You want,
That's
you wanna do
Wow.
it for
that
the
blows
Sox?
my mind.
yeah.
I would love
You
to
would do it for the
Sox.
Red Sox.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a Met
Get
fan.
outta here.
By Fenway
Phillies-
Park.
Phillies, contrary to the bad rap that Philadelphia and their fans receive, I
That's
love
their
going to
football
Citizens
fans.
Bank Park, I'd say, is top 5 ballparks in America.
Really?
And one of the classiest organizations. They always treat me super
What are your
well.
top 3
And they always have me back. So love the Phillies. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mets fans, but great. The way they treat their anthem singers
What?
are very classy.
Name a couple of bucket list stadiums.
I just did Dodger Stadium for the second time. That's
Very
probably
Dodger Stadium's nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I mean, do you want to talk about historic franchise?
Who is your agent?
I don't have one right now. I mean, I work with different
The Padres
agents,
Stadium,
but I am
beautiful.
self-managed. Important to know on
God
the
bless.
podcast.
God bless.
Beautiful.
So, take me from college to this
Yes.
this career, this professional.
Yeah, I don't know if I finished before because I'm enjoying this conversation. We're going on different tangents, but that music teacher in high school,
Yeah.
I didn't sing again until I was a junior in high school.
Oh, so really late too.
Really late. So I pretty much took a break from 6th grade till my junior year in high
Wow.
school.
It's a big
And
break.
That's a big
It took
break.
you 2 school years to decide that you wanted to study musical
And
theater.
I didn't even decide, really. It kind of just fell onto my lap. Someone upstairs was looking out for me, and it organically kind of snowballed and happened again. I needed a music credit in high school. I was in need of a music credit. I needed
Wow.
a class to take. What can you do? The AP of the music department comes up to me and said, we realized somehow or another, scheduling, I don't know, I needed a music credit. So God rest his soul, David Lamort, he just passed away. He was the AP of the music department over at Tottenville High School. Great guy. He comes up to me and says, what do you do? I said, I played a little trumpet in the band and
You played trumpet.
I don't play trumpet. I played trumpet until I had a very bad case of chapped lips in 7th grade, and I was very discouraged and embarrassed, and I quit the band. Another mistake on my part.
I played baritone.
Baritone, bari sax?
No, the baritone.
Baritone horn.
Oh, baritone horn.
The
oh.
euphonium.
Oh, there
if
you
you
go.
will.
You still play?
No.
Speaking
I still
Chinese
have
Give it up.
mine.
right now.
Give it up. So I gave up the trumpet with chapped lips, but
Yeah.
and I wasn't singing. Needed a music credit, and Mr. Lamort says, "By any chance, do you sing?" I said, I do, but I really haven't in a couple of years. I know I can sing.
Right.
I have the voice, but I really haven't sang in a while. He goes, "Can you sing something for me?" I'm like, right here, like now in your office. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What do you want me to sing?" He's like, "How about the national anthem?" And now everyone knows me as the anthem guy. So I literally belt out the anthem, Star Spangled Banner, in his office, and the door gets kicked in by the choir teacher, Mrs. Joanne Olemi. Love her. Another great music teacher who inspired me, took me under her wing. They threw me in the chorus right then and there. Before you know it, music became my life again, and I was singing at a lot of public events like on Staten Island for the Bar President, and which led to
Soloing.
me, solo like performances.
Yeah.
They would make me the featured entertainer at a lot of different things on Staten Island, and Tottenville was having me be like the face of their music department.
Wow.
And I was really started to get a lot of confidence, and I was like, wow, like this is something that I loved
So
my
the
whole life
people
that I
chose
gave
you.
up. So the people chose me. They got me back into it. But I have to credit my father, the sneak that he is. I love him. He came up with this whole plan with the assistant principal to get me back singing again, because the AP called my house saying, your son's missing a music credit, this and that and the other thing. My father's like, well, if you got something that involves him singing, put him in that, but don't tell him I told you.
Oh, wow.
Because I
Wow.
wasn't singing anymore, and my dad probably knew, like, I was embarrassed by it, which is a shame that I felt that way, but I was kind of like embarrassed by it.
No, I
I
understand
didn't want
you
people
100%.
I didn't want people to really know, which is crazy to think about now. But so I got to credit my father for
It is kind of strange
It is
because you're like, well, this isn't something that any of my friends are doing.
right, exactly.
This isn't
Yeah.
something that
Nobody likes
This is,
music from the
this is kind of weird. It's
Exactly.
it's something different. It's
Right.
something no one else is doing.
right. Nobody
that-
my age gave a shit about Frank
Right.
Sinatra or Elvis or
It does. It is,
or-
and it's almost like embarrassing.
Yes. So I
I-
kind of felt that way. I didn't know how people would react, or I already had known how, kids kind of acted towards me a little bit when I was in middle school. But high school and middle school is a big difference.
Big
you know?
difference.
I don't teach middle school. I teach high school, but I hear that middle school is rough, man. So unfortunately, that was the result of that. But organically, naturally, it happened. And credit to my dad and the music teachers at Tottenville High School for bringing music back into my life, and it became my life. I was literally halfway through my junior year. Once I joined that chorus, I was trying my best to read the notes on the page, but I started taking voice lessons with a great teacher. Shout out to Janet Pranchke. opera singer who would perform at the Met and all around the world, which is how I got into the classical training, studying, opera and classical music. But it became my life again. And then that led to me started to singing just in local restaurants on Staten Island, which led to me singing at private parties and people's weddings. And then in 2016, I started singing in some of the jazz clubs. I got my own band. I had a manager at the time who owned a jazz club in the city, and he put me together. He put a band together for me of, I was like in shock that I had musicians playing for me who played for some of my heroes, like Bobby Darin's drummer and Frank Sinatra's guitarist and Tony Bennett's bassist. And, I was just like 20-year-old Charlie who felt lucky to be doing what he loved to do. But it became my life, and now it's my career, and I'm very grateful and blessed to be doing that.
That's awesome.
I'm sure
That's really
the
awesome.
same way, man.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, the way you have always been destined for this.
Thank you.
It's almost like no matter what decision you made in life, or no
Yeah.
matter what path you chose,
Yeah.
you were going to end up here.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that. And
I
always
believe
kinda
that when
felt
I hear you.
within myself, for sure. Like since I was a kid, it always, I didn't know how, where, or when, but I always felt like I'd be on some sort of path that performing and using my talent to make people happy, bring joy to people. I always felt like that'd be a part of my life somehow.
That musical theater background
Yes.
really presents itself
Absolutely.
when you perform.
For sure.
But I do believe firmly that you are already there.
Thank you.
You're just waiting for the right eyes
I appreciate
to fall
that.
on you.
Thank you. And listen, if they don't come,
Oh, they will. Charlie.
Thank you, man.
Charlie, please.
if they don't come, I'm still very fortunate to get paid to do what I love to do in two different ways.
I was going to say
And,
you have something that a lot of musicians don't have.
Right. Yes. Oh, forget it. A lot of people, sometimes when I think about it, or when I first started in my teaching career, I started thinking, I got a little insecure. I thought, oh, maybe people think like I'm not doing good enough singing, or like I needed a day job or something, or I'm not good enough to just sing full time. But that's not the case. Honestly, the reason why I became a teacher, for a couple of different reasons. I've always had a passion for working with kids. I taught voice lessons for many years. So I've always loved connecting with kids, working with kids, shaping young minds, like my music teachers specifically have inspired and shaped me. But during COVID, there was no work to be had. And I went back to school to get my master's degree. And that's when I became a teacher during the pandemic. Because
Really?
I didn't know when the stages would. I was traveling. Things were really picking up. I was going to Vegas. I was in Florida a lot, working the circuit down there. And once COVID hit and all my teacher friends were getting their paychecks and I was, sitting home not doing much and I didn't know what my future held, I said, you know what, now's a good time for me to cash in on that education background that I have. Because when I graduated with my undergrad degree, I couldn't wait to graduate from college. But by the time I got to be a senior, I was like a horrible student. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I wanted to really
Just give me D.
delve
Let me
further.
out of here.
Yeah, just let me out of here. I just wanted to really dive headfirst into my performing
Yeah.
career and see where that could take me as a 22-year-old out of college. And things were going well until COVID, and that's when I got my teaching job.
But to have the resolve to say, I'm gonna go back to this,
yes,
but that's always gonna be there.
Right.
I'm not giving up.
no, not at all.
I'm just tying up the loose ends in life.
100%.
I'm
Just a
trying to-
little. I wanted some stability in my life.
That's
you know?
amazing.
I was also by the time I got hired and finished my master's, which I did in 11 months. I did an accelerated master's program. By the time I got hired, I was 25 years old. I was about to get kicked off my mother's health insurance, so
Yeah.
so I wanted the benefits, of course, that come with a beautiful city job like
Yeah,
working
man.
for the DOE. And it's nice to think about one day retirement, pension, all that, and obviously supplemental income. But I love what I do.
You don't
I really
know how
do.
many times I've pined after a union job.
100%. No, believe me.
All
It's-
my friends on sanitation work 3 days
yes.
a week.
I mean,
Come
listen,
on.
you're in a position where you work, and God bless you if you don't have to have a second job. That's incredible. But one thing I really love that stability.
I don't have that. I don't have
Right.
that cement floor.
Right. You have to fight for every gig that comes, and God forbid, I were to lose my voice. Knock on wood tomorrow. That's always going to be there, and it's not going anywhere. So I appreciate that, and I also appreciate the fact. And you guys cursed a couple times, so and I could curse a little bit too. But I love the fact that because I have another career, I have another job. When people go to book me for a gig, and they're dealing with me. I don't right now. I don't have a
Exactly.
for the most part. I have some agents who I work exclusively in certain territories, but people work with me directly, which is good and bad because
Wait,
I'm in control of
before-
my own career, but I'm also the bad guy.
before
It's tough to
Go
be the
ahead,
bad
what am I
guy.
gonna say?
Before you say this, this is an important lesson on the word no.
Yes. Thank you, Sal.
This is the most powerful word in business, kids. Pay attention to what Charlie's about to tell you.
So I'm going to say it how we say it in Brooklyn. I love the fact that people don't have me by the balls because I have another career, and I can say no to any gig that I don't want to take. If you're not, if you're not willing to, pay what I ask, if you're asking for something unrealistic, I can
Happens
say
all
no to
the
the gig,
time.
and I'm not going to starve.
That's why I have a manager, because I would tell people to go fuck themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm a pretty nice guy. I think pretty reasonable and political, and I have to be. But it's
You
a
have
very
to-
tough business, and it's easy to get taken advantage of, which I have many times, especially as a younger performer.
You
get
spend
bumped around.
you spend your mornings reasoning with post-pubescent teenagers.
Yes, that's true.
So there has to be some level of patience that
Yes.
is godlike.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm a very patient
Can't be
guy
telling
for the most
everyone
part.
to fuck off.
Yeah,
Every single-
no,
I was
I
gonna say,
can't do that.
You
I
seem like a
want-
patient dude. Like you seem like you're a very what's the word? Like a Zen type guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see me like
very well
meditating.
adjusted.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not
You're
gonna
very
be-
well adjusted,
I
Charlie.
appreciate that, guys. Thank you. I'm not gonna sit and meditate.
What Anthony's trying to say is you're not a psycho like us.
No,
Bingo.
no. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't seem
I'm
very
still
broken.
Italian, so
Wow.
I'm still Italian.
Wow.
I
Yes,
don't seem
that's
very
exactly
Brooklyn,
what I'm
you said?
saying.
No, broken.
Oh, broken.
He
okay.
just
Yeah, yeah.
I'm about to say the
No,
Brooklyn.
like
slang,
like
but
you're a happy guy,
Doo-wopping
like
is his
me.
Zen.
Like I'm ready to punch a hole through the wall any second.
Do-wopping is your zen. That's what you like do.
You know what the word is?
Doobie-doobie-wop.
It's just I try and live every day gratefully and with perspective and balance. I mean, it's so easy, especially in today's world and today's climate, to be miserable. Really,
Very
to be
easy.
upset,
Yeah.
to be
Yes.
depressed. You have to count your blessings, and I feel like, sometimes people who claim to have it bad, and listen, everybody has problems, but I feel like a lot of people, they lack the perspective and they forget the great things that they have in their life. And a little bit of perspective and balance is important, and that's I try and remember that. I try and teach my students that. My wife and I talk about that all the time. Not to get too upset about minuscule things. Let it
Wish I
ruin
had
our
him as a
day.
teacher.
I appreciate
You'd
it.
have been a great teacher
Thank
at
you.
my school.
So, and that's honestly the best
Yeah, you're
part of
giving
being a
teacher
teacher is
vibes
those
for
things.
sure.
Forget it. I love the history. I love the content. I'm passionate. I'm a history nerd and buff with that stuff. But those kinds of conversations and teaching kids those kinds of things, life lessons that stick with them, to me, that's the best part of what I do.
You could play a teacher in like the 50s. That would be like, I feel like
That's what I was thinking of, like a movie plot. Like he comes to like work in like a tough neighborhood.
Charlie, have you been approached by filmmakers to play those sort of roles?
I
in-
haven't,
in
and-
television or film.
I've done a little bit of acting, and again, prior to COVID, I did have an agent representing me for acting work, for TV's film, and my first ever audition for anything acting related, as far as TV and film goes, I booked the role, and it was for a speaking role in a TV show called Dickinson, and I got to be on the show with Haley Steinfeld, the pop star actress, and I had a very small role, but I spent the whole day on set with her, and it's set in the 1800s because she plays Emily Dickinson, famous American figure, obviously, and since that one little role, I haven't done any acting work because, again, I started the teaching gig and a lot of audition. I haven't auditioned. I haven't put myself out there. But acting was something that I feel like I had a knack for it naturally, and it was a big boost of confidence to me to book my first
You 100% do.
my
You'll do
first gig, my first audition with a superstar, to be working with superstar. I was walking on eggshells the whole day, by the way. I was super nervous.
You two guys could be part of the T-Birds.
The team.
You're a
That's my favorite car, by the way.
You're a performer, and I feel like as a performer, like a lot of musicians will dive into like the acting world. Like you hold yourself very well together. And I think
Thank you.
as an actor, you would have a great growth
Thank you for that.
into the acting world. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, I feel like it all kind of goes hand in hand,
Greg's a Coppola.
Wait, a what?
Greg's a Coppola.
A Coppola?
Yeah, they changed his name to Heinrich, like Nicolas Cage, changed his name.
I love it. With
From
that beard,
Coppola?
I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know if.
Greg.
I don't know if. I don't know if he could get away with
I have
Coppola.
I have a two specific
singers
look
of all
now.
time.
I sang George.
So you came to this music through R&B,
Well, I came to this music through doo-wop, really.
through doo-wop.
Through doo-wop.
Oh, that's right. That's
through
right.
rock and roll
that's right.
doo-wop
With
from
your
my grandfather. He was one of those guys like singing on the corner under a street lamp with his friends.
I love
and he
that.
still, till this day, always wants to harmonize with me. He always wants to be a part of the show somehow. I love him, Poppy, and I know he's going to be watching this. But yeah, my grandfather, he used to drag me to doo-wop shows, Bishop Ford High School in Brooklyn, this high school. And, I got to listen to like Jay Siegel and the Tokens, Larry Chance and the Earls, who I was lucky enough to open for a couple of times. And all those like 50s doo-wop groups is what helped me transition into loving that, the crooner stuff, as I call it, the Great American Songbook. There's a million names for it, vintage pop. But that really was what got me into that whole era of music. But what people, whoever knows me for, they know me as Charlie, the kid who sings the anthems, and who really sings the hell out of Bobby Darin songs.
Sings the hell out of it.
Sings the hell out of it. I like that.
Only Bobby Darin could come up with 3 hits about death.
Yes. Yes, Mac the Knife,
Artificial Flowers, Mac the Knife, and Clementine.
Clementine, and 3 of the greatest songs.
Mike the Knife's about death.
Mac the Knife is about a serial killer.
It is. Speaking of theater,
I mean, I had
from a
the
musical.
inclination, but
It is from a musical.
from a German musical called The Threepenny Opera, which was actually originally written in German. And the lyrics, loosely translate to, like Sal was saying, about a serial killer who's like on the loose. And in that musical, it's a very like eerie,
Yes.
it's a very like
Nothing
eerie
fun about
vibe. Nothing fun about the original Mac the Knife.
wow.
But Bobby Darin had his knack.
He made it
and
fun.
awesome arrangers, obviously, who
The same-
turned these songs into pop hits.
the
Fun,
same
happy
way
pop hits.
that Luck Be a Lady from Guys and Dolls is unrecognizable
Yes.
to Frank Sinatra's Luck Be a Lady.
Right.
It's completely different.
Yes, you would never know it's the same song, and so you got to check out the Threepenny Opera, Mac the Knife. You'll be
Yeah.
like, that's not
Very
the same
different.
song.
Very different.
Very different.
But
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, Bobby Darin just had that. He had that knack, that spark.
Yes.
Bobby Darin had a spark, and that's what I see when you're performing.
Thank you for that.
How nervous were you to sing at your own wedding?
So you know what? Everybody leading up to the wedding is like, "Are you gonna sing? Are you gonna sing?" And like, I didn't want my wedding to feel like a gig, because that's one of the main things I do is sing at other people's weddings. And anytime I have to perform, I'm not like a diva. I don't have like this whole crazy. I don't know how you are before you have a show or performance, but I don't have like a crazy 3-hour. Routine that I need to get into. I warm up for a few minutes. I do a couple of little lip trills and vocal exercises. Maybe I'll have a cup of tea, and then I go and do the damn thing. But I'm very mindful of when I do have to sing. Like one thing I will do that's maybe a little more nuts than other singers. I watch what I eat. Like I won't have, and especially as Italians, I won't have like cheese like on the day I have to sing.
Dairy's
Or
a
like
big thing.
I do like a 24-hour
Cheese
rule
does
of
you?
no dairy.
Sauce.
Sauce for you?
Can't do it.
It's the
Why?
you get agita?
Ajita.
Really?
Dairy.
I
Not
can't.
sauce for
I
me.
can't eat
It's
with
dairy.
a couple hours when I sing now.
and dairy will
It's
coat
dairy
your,
for me.
vocal cords.
So no milk, no cheese.
Are you serious?
Very
So
hard.
you can't have a cup of coffee if like there's milk on it?
I'm not a big coffee drinker to begin with, but I won't have any dairy. I try not to have any dairy. Before, it happens all the time.
Milk
I
will-
eat
it's,
it.
uh,
But I feel it? Do I get a little phlegmy? Sorry for everyone at home. Do I get a little phlegmy before I have to go on? Let's say I don't know who drinks a cup of milk before they sing, but if I were to drink milk, or if I eat a piece of fresh mozzarella, or if I have a chicken parm before I'm gonna sing.
Sometimes I'll have a protein shake before a show.
Oh, so there you go. But with milk or without?
Sure.
Oh, with milk.
Yeah.
See, that's crazy. I couldn't do that. But one of the things, I don't remember what we were talking about before, but one of the things that I do really want to do that I've yet to do that is way overdue is get in the damn studio and record my own arrangements
And with-
of these songs.
You write arrangements.
I don't write I don't mean my own arrangements.
You mean coming up with them?
But I could come up with an arrangement. I could say
Sure.
I want the horns to sound like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure you probably have done the same
I did
thing.
on my last record. Yeah.
Right. So that's something I've yet to do that it's way overdue.
Yeah, man.
That I need to do now.
Why don't you come up with the concept first?
Right.
You know, get in a studio for a couple of hours
Right.
and think of the 12 or 14
Right.
songs you wanna put together.
Right.
Sing them through, right? Then have them arranged.
Oh, so do it like that.
Then go perform them
Right.
for 6 months, a year.
Right.
Go play them at the clubs. Go play them at your shows.
Right.
You know, find out what they mean to you,
Right.
and then go record them.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Why
Because
do
you really don't.
then you feel it.
You don't know the depth of that chart,
Right.
of that arrangement,
That's smart.
until you performed it 100 times.
That's true.
And then on the 100th time, once you've done it, 20 or 30 times a certain way, and that's the way it is now. And
Right.
that's the way it is.
Right. I never thought about that, but it makes sense because if I would just have brand new arrangements and went in the studio, it's like I'm trying to learn the arrangement or learn the song. It's not a part of my bones.
Do you know, and I'm so proud of this record, but do you know that when it comes on Seriously Sinatra, I got to turn it off?
Why?
Because I think I can't help
done
but
it
think to
better?
myself, like, damn, I could have done it. I do that like this now,
Right.
and that's a hit.
Right.
Or I changed this lyric to this, and that now people go nuts for it.
Right.
What would you say is next for you, Charlie? So like, what would you say?
What's next
What's
for
your ideal next
Doo-wop
step?
album.
Well, honestly, we just kind of talked about it. I think
Doo-wop album.
a doo-wop album. I got to get a group of guys behind me.
No, he hasn't recorded yet.
I need to get in that studio and I need to record. I want to continue obviously performing live like I am and have been.
You're gonna
And,
explode.
Thank you, bro.
You put a record together,
Thank
you're gonna explode.
I got to get it out there. Which honestly, I need to educate myself. I need to get the right people in my corner who can help me get when those songs are on a record, who could get them on Seriously Sinatra.
You and I are gonna end up doing a show together.
I would
I
love
know.
that.
I know this
I would love that.
because
We gotta make
this
that happen.
you have such a passion for the music and
Thank you.
everything. I think it's one. Listen,
Thank
that's how Dave and I got together, and Landau Eugene Murphy from it was another he won America's Got Talent.
Yeah,
But
fantastic.
just the passion for this music is what brought us together, and it's created so many good times, and I think the good times are ahead of you.
Thank
I
you,
really
Cal.
do.
No, I appreciate it, man. Listen, no bullshit. It means a lot coming from you, and your mouth to
Well,
God's
for-
ears, your word to God's ears, or whatever the saying is.
For
But,
whatever it's worth, your break is on its way.
Thank
It
you,
really
Cal.
is.
Means a lot, man. But
Really
yeah,
is.
Anthony, I would say that's for me. That's the biggest thing. I want to leave a legacy to my future kids. If I'm great
God
to
bless.
them, I want to have me as a younger guy, something that I could leave to my family, but also. I really do believe in my talent. I believe in the passion that I have for this music. And I believe that anybody who loves this music as much as I do should know who I am. And
100%.
And they should hear my renditions of these songs that mean so much to me and so much to them.
And that's why we had you on. We wouldn't
And-
have you on if we didn't believe that.
And it means a lot. And I can't, and this is our first time, all of us, meeting, and I've heard great things about
Thank you.
Anthony, but I can't stress enough. When I really thought about it, I was like, wow, it means so much for somebody who literally does the same exact thing that I do on a much grander scale to want to give me an opportunity to shine.
I
and
do
give
it
me a
all over.
platform. I can't tell you how much that means to me. There's really nobody like that out there.
There's
so
no
thank you.
there's no gig too small.
I appreciate
Don't
it.
ever put yourself in that. Don't
No,
ever do that. to
Well,
yourself.
again, I'm my own worst critic. I don't want to talk bad about myself, but
Charlie.
I'm so impressed and so appreciative
if
of.
people aren't booing and throwing things at you,
Well, I never had that happen, thank God.
you're making it. People
Right.
pay you
Oh no, they do.
to come and perform.
Absolutely.
You got to believe it.
Yes. Oh, I believe it. But how?
I didn't
comfortable
believe
am
it until America's Got Talent happened.
Wow.
I did not believe it.
Right. So I'd say getting in the studio is definitely the next step, and we'll see what happens from there. But
Charlie
I got to make that step.
Romo,
Yes, sir.
incredible.
Thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank
and
you
such
guys
a
so much.
such a
Appreciate it.
genuinely good dude.
Thank you.
Really.
Means a lot. And
This
likewise to both of you. And I'm sorry, I've been looking at Sal the whole time. You're a part of just as much of a part of the conversation.
This
no,
is
it's
his
fine.
podcast.
No,
I
it's
just
fine.
hijacked this
Podcast.
shit.
It's fine.
I feel so rude. I'm like,
No,
I'm not
no, it's
talk.
fine.
I'm addressing Sal.
Greg
I-
was supposed
you're-
to be the co-host.
Hey,
I
Greg.
fucked up his thing.
You're talking about things that are beyond my realm. So I mean, you're talking about baritones and reading music. I have no clue what you're talking about.
If you need a bass for the doo-wop song, I got you.
Yeah, you do have a nice deep voice there, man.